Good afternoon. I'm happy to
Go.
be here today. We got another episode of The Overcomer. The first episode was great. We had our Dr. Chico Tillman from Chicago, but today is something totally different. I got my man here, and today we're on the road. We did a road trip all the way to Charlotte to do this one.
Charlotte, North
He has
Carolina.
something great that's going on tomorrow. We're going to share some pieces of that. But I had to fly. He couldn't make it to Denver because of his program. So I said, I'm going to do a road trip because we have to capture this moment with this phenomenal man and the great things he's doing. Today we have with us Mr. Joshua Proby out of
man?
Charlotte, North Carolina. How you doing, brother?
Man, I'm blessed, bro. I can't complain. I'm truly, truly blessed. Glad to be here. Good to see you come down here because in Colorado it's a little chilly up there, man. So you came down here nice and cool. So it's good seeing you, man. I look forward to this, man. It was really a blessing, especially how we met. And we're going to get into all that, but I'm excited, bro.
A lot to cover. Of course, the Overcomer, you already know the theme of the podcast is just people who overcame obstacles in their life, and God has allowed them to do some great things today. And you're one of them, man. I chose you specifically. This is a podcast where it's targeted towards certain people that have that kind of story.
Sure.
So we're going to cover a couple things today of Josh Proby. Of who is Josh, and we're going to get into how we met, but who was Josh Proby? I want to talk a little bit about that first.
Man, Josh Proby was one who was just trying to figure out what life was. Joshua Proby was one who was broken, who was hurt, still trying to figure out life, still trying to understand which direction to go in, and really not necessarily understanding how to do that or how to navigate that. Just lost and broken can sum up who Joshua Proby was.
And when you say lost and broken, I can understand that, knowing you and being around you and learning a lot about you. But to our audience, let's talk about some of the events or some of the things that you was involved in that you would consider yourself broken or lost during those times.
Man, just coming up, being raised by my grandmother, born and raised in the church, instilling Christ in us, and at that time, we was in church from Sunday to Hyundai, and that's that day between Sunday and Monday. It was always an extra day somewhere to go to church, right? So you kind of dislike it simply because you see so much things happening. You see your grandmother struggling. You've watched her, deal with abuse. We going from pillar to post. We not really having a stable place to stay, and just trying to figure out what that really looked like. So on top of abuse, on top of being molested, on top of just so many different things that was transpiring, it was just like, what I'm going to church for? Like, what kind of God would allow this to happen to somebody like me? So it just really created a sense of harshness, a sense of wanting to get back and never really truly being heard. So it's always going to be a situation when you think back on those things, and as you're figuring out life as a young kid, experiencing most of this before even the age of 12 years old, it's just like, what is life to me? And as you grow older, you have so many false images of what it is. And I think a lot of men deal with that. I think a lot of men, maybe not as gruesome as maybe my childhood was, but just the sense of not knowing, the sense of not understanding. We were able to embrace brokenness before we knew what wholeness was. So simply because of that, it makes us all as men grow up trying to fit pieces together in certain areas of our lives because they were just missing and they weren't there.
I love that. Brokenness before we experience wholeness.
Yeah.
And it's ironic that you talk about your grandmother. And I want to get into how we met and how we're able to have this opportunity to sit down and talk with each other. I remember you were speaking in Denver, Colorado. You had a speaking engagement. And you say you was raised in a church, and your grandmother had you going to church every day of the week almost.
Every day.
Ironic that both of us had that same experience. My grandmother was the same way. She raised me for the most part, and she would take me to church Sunday morning, Sunday night. There was no time limit. I mean, you made me in church till 12 midnight.
Yeah.
But when I got a phone call from a pastor, Leon Emerson, who's passed, but he's a true
for sure
prophet, and he would do some things sometimes that you didn't understand. But he called me and he said, "Hey, bro, I want you to introduce this young man coming to speak today at service." And to me, I thought it was odd because I was speaking during the time as well, but he wanted me to introduce you.
Right.
But in my mind, I'm like, I've never met this person.
Right.
I've never even seen this person. How am I supposed to introduce someone that I never knew?
Right.
But when I got there, and I was obedient to be able to do that, I realized why he asked me to do that. We had not met physically, but we had met spiritually. We knew each other's journey,
for real.
Our past, our childhood.
For sure.
We had so much in common. So although I hadn't physically met you, he knew that I knew you because of our journeys. So getting into some of the journeys, I like when you said you had a harshness in you. And there's a part where we talk about the middle part where both of us had something in common where we were incarcerated.
Yeah.
Leading up to that harshness, how did you think that led you to a prison cell?
I think the harshness led simply because I was trying to figure out who I was in the midst of not necessarily understanding who I am. So when you're trying to discover that, you try to fit a lot of pieces in areas, and you're really trying things as you go. And you hear the people around you say, "Hey, stop doing that," or "Hey, don't do that," or "Hey, you need to change these things." But it's like, how do I change these things when I've watched my mother battle addiction? How do I change these things when I watched my grandmother be abused? How do I change these things when I was molested? How do I change these things that you're telling me to do, but all I seen was pain? And I think that even growing up, it's not expressed to us. It's not taught to us. You know, you see all of these great relationship podcasts. You see all of these different meaningful podcasts that don't necessarily pick up on things. It's just key words that people pick up on, and it's soothing to our emotions. But how do you allow that man who's going through that struggle currently to actually implement what you said in real time? And I think I didn't have anything to show me how to implement something in real time to not go down that path. So the harshness was more of my protection. It was my protection that I thought was a blessing that led me actually to my real blessing, even though it was a punishment, which was incarceration. So incarceration was the first time that I saw structure. Was the first time that I seen a sense of order. And although it's a place that nobody wants to go, I don't wish that on my worst enemy, but incarceration was a place where it was a correction of misguided steps that led me back to the foundation of Christ and where I needed to be. Faith is the substance of things hoped for and the evidence of things not seen. And at that time, after dealing with so much pain, I can't say that I was walking anything in my life prior to incarceration in a form of faith. It was rather in a form of pain. And I think a lot of men walk that way because they're unwilling to really be honest about where they really at. And since they're not honest about where they at, their harshness, their bitterness, their inability to identify where they're at emotionally, mentally, and understand those pains that are there are always going to end up coming out in the wash. And when they do, it's up to you to face them. And for me, it was prison.
Oh man, you know, I was so excited coming here to talk to you because I already know how you speak, and what I like about you is because as the word says, they overcome by the word of our testimony.
For sure.
Sometimes people are afraid to show or seem vulnerable by sharing their stories, whether they were in prison. You talked about even being molested and the little things that you're open about that a lot of men wouldn't even want to share because of their pride. But because you're open, you're creating opportunities for other people to overcome that's been through similar situations that's afraid to talk about it. So this, myself, I can relate to the incarceration part. Because when you were isolated and you felt like you were alone and you didn't have many people, a lot of family members and friends you didn't hear from. And so you was forced into a situation where you connected to God. I remember my experience was just, and I write about it in my book, where it was like a dark cell
Yeah.
that I described, that I'm walking back and forth, and I had a breakthrough crying out
Right.
to God because I
Right.
really didn't know myself.
Mhm.
So would you say even during that time up to then,
Mhm.
you really didn't know who you were?
Oh, absolutely, for sure. I don't think I discovered me until the judge gave me 12 years. I went to prison for armed robbery and burglary. I did commit the crime. But I didn't commit the crime because I was tough or I was bad. I committed the crime because all I seen anybody in my life was take. So I replicated it as cries of help in an irrational way. So when I went in front of the judge and the judge gave me 12 years, I took a deep breath. And it was just like, yo, I'm really getting ready to go to prison. I went to prison at 22 and came home when I was 34. So when I went to prison, that's when I got introduced to who I truly am. I did 2 years in solitary confinement. And 2 years in solitary confinement, I ran across the Bible verse, Psalms 46:10 said, "Be still and know that I am God." And it was the first time in my life that I really was still, that I really had an opportunity to see the works of God in my life. Prior to that, I was hit by a car, flatlined, and so many different traumatic things happened to me prior to. So my entire life was full of just pain and brokenness. Still have the scars, from the accident. Told I was never going to be able to have kids. So many different things transpired again before I was even the age of 12 years old.
Wow.
So with all of these things transpiring in my life, it was like I had to become bigger than my situation, but I had to be able to embody my testimony, but still become greater than my testimony. Meaning that I couldn't just use my struggles as just talking points, but I had to show some type of action behind what I experienced. I had to show why I overcame it so that I didn't become a pity party conversation or an excuse conversation or one to look at and analyze to understand what not to be like, but rather how to overcome. And you said it, we're overcome by our testimony. And by being able to speak it, being in solitary confinement, understanding who I am. It was one time that I looked in the mirror, which in solitary confinement is not actually a mirror. It's like a foil that you think you're seeing yourself, but you're not.
Right.
But it was a time that I couldn't even look at myself, just because I was ridding myself of so many emotional damaging, demonic spirits, different things that have attached themselves to say that this is who you were, to the point where I didn't know who I was. But when I saw Psalms 46:10 and just said, "Be still," I began to start understanding who Joshua Proby really was.
Wow. Greater than your testimony.
Yeah.
Bro, do you understand what you just said?
Yeah.
I've never heard it.
Yeah. Hey, man, I'm going to tell you one thing, man. When we get on here, man, and we be flowing, man, the Holy Spirit be going. And sometimes I just say what's on my spirit, bro. I don't ever like any type of podcast that I do to be replicated like the previous one. I just like, no script, no anything. Just let the Holy Spirit flow. Just let him do what he gonna do. Because somebody out there, and even you, bro, I'm so appreciative of having this opportunity that we able to sit down, meet each other inside of where we came from, incarceration, and track down that story so we can actually implement some change in people's lives who hear it.
I love it. I love it. And I'm glad that I don't know if you said it before, but I'm going to repeat it again. Greater than your testimony. Because a lot of times we want to share our testimony, but to become greater than it is taking that next step. Faith without works is dead, or putting that into action so people can see it.
Yeah.
Because as even on my last podcast, we discussed that sometimes we might walk by faith, but other people walk by sight. They want to see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
And so during getting past the incarceration part, during that time, most people that you were around, and I remember a lot of people are studying real estate. A lot of people are reading and educating themselves. They're making a plan for their release. What did that look like for you? What was your plan to say when I'm free, this is what I'm going to do?
Man, the word of God says, write your vision down and make it plain so those who see it can run with it. And I think sometimes people stop at write the vision down. So when I was incarcerated, I wrote the vision down, but I always wanted to know how it was going to be carried out. Because it's one thing to write a vision, but that vision, and you write it down, if it's just for you, how do you edify the body of Christ and how do you edify others if what vision God gave you is not able to be picked up by others who see it? So as I'm continuing to write, I'm incarcerated. I'm going to school for accounting. I'm going in school learning about entrepreneurship and so many different things. I actually wrote the book, which was called Peace for Poverty, which is now my nonprofit. And I realized that in order for me to truly educate myself on a different level, I had to realize what I was lacking. And Peace for Poverty is just defined as a lack of. And I was lacking a lot internally. So before we start tackling poverty from an external standpoint, we have to understand what poverty means, and it's a lack of. So you have to lack something internally before you can lack something externally. So I started to understand that inwardly I was lacking security. I was lacking understanding. I was lacking wisdom. I was lacking knowledge. I was lacking direction. There was so many things as a man, a young man, that I was lacking. So God had to take me kind of back to the training room. You know what I'm saying? It was like, yo, this is what patience look like. Sit down for 12 years. You did it, but I'm going to show you how to get through it. You know what I mean? This is what understanding looks like. This is what knowledge looks like. In this environment, be quiet. This is what wisdom looks like, because everybody's not going to accept you when I prepare you for where you about to go. So it was a lot of different things that I started to understand about me. And that's what I was learning about. It wasn't so much of the book knowledge. Although I read a lot of books and different things. Watchman Nee was a huge piece of my study when it came to Christianity and different things like that. But I just had to understand that the knowledge that God was giving me was far more better than the book knowledge that I was interpreting or bringing in. And the book knowledge only made more sense the more I became more in tune with myself, because now I was going to know how to apply it and allow others to pick the vision up so that we can go further.
Man, you just made me think about a particular scripture where Jesus was asked, who do you say I am?
Yeah.
And he said, truly flesh and blood can't reveal that to you, right? So certain things that you're saying, it don't come from intellect or being smart or intelligence, but you're giving God glory to say it was a step further that, I can read and study, but there's something extra that can make those, that reading and studying more effective because I'm not dependent on my own intellect. And I think that's key to speaking. You have a lot of platforms. And in fact, I called you a couple of days ago and I said, man, when I see you on a podcast or I see you in a speaking engagement, you looking like you're going to the Grammys. I said, bro, let me know how we're going to do this podcast, because the way you come clean, soup, both of you said, bro, let's be relaxed and just be ourselves. And we're going to do the podcast in a relaxed mode and attire. But I'm saying that because I see that you have a shirt on and we're both kind of wearing things from our own brands. Proby is legacy. I'm looking at your shirt and it says Proby is legacy. We covered who Josh Proby was. Let's get into this legacy thing. That was the easy part, what we just talked about. But now getting into who Josh Proby is now. Phenomenal program that you have. And I'm here not only for the podcast, but to be a part of that tomorrow. We're going to do something special there tomorrow. And I'm glad to be invited to that. But talk about that, who Josh Proby is now, because that is huge for me.
Man, Joshua Proby now is a man of understanding. Just a man that has actually applied everything that he did not once have. And everything that I did not once have, I think Paul was saying it, that there's this thorn that keeps buffeting me. And it's not necessarily some of the things in which I struggle with now, but that thorn is more of the things that bring to my remembrance of who I was before I became who I am. And I think as I continue to look on those things are what makes me better to give back to my community, make me a better father, make me a better friend, make me a better leader. These are the different things that embody legacy. So when I say Proby is legacy, we wear all these different brands and these different, designer this and designer that, because they've stamped that as what they have felt to be their legacy. So Proby as legacy is actually the legacy of anybody. Anybody who's felt broken, anybody who's felt like they couldn't achieve something or was given up on. Probia's legacy. So you are your legacy. What are you going to do with it? You know what I mean? So I just wanted to be relaxed. I already knew you had your thing going on, being super motivated by your book. I came down and seen the balling out of control. And he was like, yo, bro, I did some time too. And we've been building for years now, bro. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Going through our ups and downs in relationship and building as men coming from two different areas. And I think that is the strength of what legacy is. Legacy overcomes the things that the natural eye seems to be a problem. And sometimes when you're able to overcome those things, you're allowing yourself to establish legacy, because legacy is not just something that's easily cemented, something you fight for.
You know what? There's two parts that a lot of people that I want to cover, that a lot of people are able to overcome things in their life. And you see them being able to transition their life from some hard times that they've had. But then there's another step. Once you overcome your circumstances and your past, there's another step that some people don't take. Now, just the step that you've taken is, now that you've overcome, now you're going to help other people overcome. Now, this program that you're launching tomorrow, or you're not launching it, it's another part of it.
Right. It's the next cohort. We're going into our 8th cohort. Our program is called Peace for Poverty. It's the next Great 50 program. And we do everything entrepreneurship. So before you hear financial literacy and entrepreneurship and so many different platforms that are doing this thing, we started this thing in COVID. And we started off with only 20 people. We had 13 people that graduated. And we do business credit, personal credit, mental health, character building, strategic planning, website development, and business structure, all for free for the underserved community. So we're allowing them in a 16-week program to show them step by step in how you establish your business, fix your credit, come out of there with a proper logo, proper website, come out of there with the proper presence, banking relationships, so that now you're prepared for funding. You know, you have a lot of different online platforms and a lot of different things, and I'm not against any of those things. I think they're great, and every situation serves its purpose for the audience in which that it's geared to. And we just believe that being very personal with the individual builds a relationship, because one of our mottos for our program is relationships are way more important than money. So at the end of the day, the more relationships that you establish, and you only can do that by being personable with them, you know, and being in person with them. So we have that program. We also have the youth program. We do the same thing for the youth in the summertime. And then we also have the only program in the nation that is helping men and women before they're released from prison establish their credit and have an established business before they get out. We're currently in Mecklenburg County Jail. We just expanded into Roanoke. And breaking news, we are now getting ready to enter into the BOP, which is the federal prison.
I'm going back to something you said a few minutes ago, bro. I got to stop you right there. Did I hear the word free?
Yeah. We do it for free for the underserved community, for sure.
So they don't have to pay anything. And your program gives them website, it gives them financial literacy, it gives them all the tools. So are you saying somebody that can come out of prison and have a business and funding and finances already set for them to launch?
For sure. The only money that they spend is the money that they invest in themselves. We charge nothing for our services, for what we do. The only money that they end up having to totally come out of is probably about $300, and that's the filing of their LLC. We show them how to properly do their logo without having to go pay $300-400 for that. We show them how to do their website without having to go spend $1,500 or $750 or $800 for that. So we cut the cost, because what I realized is individuals in our community have been running businesses all their life. They just haven't known the proper structure and the proper way to play the game. So if you don't know the way to play the game, then you're going to keep playing it wrong, and you're not going to get the results that you ultimately want. So you're going to be working your fingers to the bone in a business that's supposed to be paying you instead of you paying it. So at the end of the day, we just said, you know what? I believe in charging corporations, not people. A lot of people look at their ability to charge people simply because they don't have the information. The word of God says we suffer from a lack of knowledge, but I'm not going to capitalize or use that out of context just because our people don't know. I'd rather say, hey, my people do know, and I'm going to charge the corporations who have the money and have the ability to pay for it so that I can pour back into my community, because it goes back into saying, write the vision down and make it plain so those who see it can run with it. So now when you see that you're not just a dollar sign to me, but that you're more of an investment, more of something that I believe in, those are the individuals who can help pick the vision up and keep running with it.
And when you say the next great 50, we had a brief conversation before we started.
Yeah.
And I know it's called the next great 50, and you said it's your eighth cohort, right?
Yeah, correct.
But you said something. You said, I said, how many students or how many people do you have?
Yeah.
50?
So-
Did you get to 50?
Yeah, man. So what we do is 50 is because Charlotte was 50th in economic mobility.
Okay.
Since then, with helps like our organization, Peace for Poverty, and other grassroots organizations who are doing the work as well, because a lot of grassroots organizations get overlooked who are actually doing the hard work. Charlotte is now 38th in economic mobility. So we've been a huge imprint in changing that number. And 50 was the number, but because we have a backlog of 300, I got with my team and was like, yo, we can't just keep taking 50 or else we're never going to get to this backlog. So starting tomorrow, we have 110 registered and that are actually going to be in class, in person. And I'm super excited. It's our biggest class out of us being established in these last 5 years.
And I'm excited to be there tomorrow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah.
But you're saying you've doubled the amount of enrollees.
Yeah.
Pretty more than double.
Yeah.
Man, that is phenomenal.
For
I
sure.
can't wait till tomorrow to be there to be a part of it.
Mhm.
I just want to tell you, it's a privilege sitting down with you. Sometimes I look at my life
Mhm.
and things that I've done wrong and the journeys when we were in that lost state.
Yeah.
And to
Yeah.
think about how we are helping people now, or how we've overcome,
Mhm.
now we're helping other people overcome.
Yeah.
So today, I just want to say, man, thank you for
Man, thank
just
you,
taking
bro.
the time
Yeah.
to come sit down with you and have a conversation, because people need to hear this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people out there that are getting out of prison or getting out of some bad situation where they feel like life is over. They can't overcome. And this podcast like this that I want to highlight so people
Yeah.
can see that you can be an overcomer. I don't
sure.
care how high deep you've sunk or what happens in your life. With
Yeah.
God, all things are possible.
sure.
And sitting here with you today, Josh, man, I keep saying thank you, because I'm just so proud of what you are doing. I can't wait to see some of the results of these people. And now out of these 8 cohorts, how do you follow up with these people once they get out of the
Yeah.
class? How does that work?
That's the biggest thing that I love about the vision that God gave me. Because so many times people have these things and it's for the big hoorah without a follow-up of what sustainability looks like. So on our website, we have a directory of all the businesses that we've created, and a way that you can not only shop with them, but that you can see that the businesses which we created are still active. Businesses only remain active when you keep up with them. So we have a great system in place. Learned this from whether people like him or not. Learned from Grant Cardone. Different things that have truly helped in a systemized way to understand what scalability looks like. And the only way we can follow up with volume is through systems. So we were able to establish solid systems with solid people, which made a great connection to be able to keep track of the businesses that we help with the over 300 businesses that we've helped create in the community. We have also established 120 of those businesses are from returning citizens, which means that we've created over 120 businesses inside of Mecklenburg County Jail. Out of those, we have at least 20 who now have contracts with the city. We're not talking about jobs. We're talking about contracts with their business. And through our community program, we also have helped generate close to about 1.2 million through those businesses, either through direct funding sources or generated revenue within that business. So one thing that I knew about me is that because I come from a background where they're always going to look at me side-eyed, especially when traction begins to happen, especially when lives are being changed. So one of the things that I'm always going to have 10 times more than maybe the next person is data and proof. So instead of having to come search it, I put it on the website so they can just go see it. Because one thing about it is you got to have your receipts. And as you continue to get bigger, you get stronger, you have to make sure that people can go back and track that and believe what's transpiring. So to see where we're at now, the growth that we've had in just 5 years with no major funding, a lot of this has been funded out of my own pocket. And I never complain about it because it's the mission that God gave me. There's a lot of blessings that's coming through, different corporations and organizations that are coming through. And I could have been made money off this if the people was my target. But the people is more of my target to build them and not take away from them. So as freely given to me, it should be freely given to you. So at the end of the day, that's why I give it to them freely. I believe that's why our organization has been extremely successful up until this point. And we've also created a motto that we've showed organizations and grassroots organizations and nonprofits how to generate money outside of government funding that is trying to be given to us. Not that we should deny it, but sometimes it's hard for us to get it. But your mission shouldn't stop just because they're not giving you the money. You have to become creative. And we were found out a lot of creative ways to become sustainable in the economy and the market that we're in.
And one thing that I do know that I've learned about you, and I thank God for giving it to me, because you yourself know on the journey of accomplishing something so big that you're doing, or even the things that I'm doing with my business, a lot of doors are slammed in our face, right? Man, they're like, hey, you need this, or you don't have this. And like, you send them that, then there's something else they need. And I've went through that in my journey with my car business. They're like, all right, you need us to send us this. I send them that, then there's something else they need. And I'm like, man, I want to give up, but the resilience that God has given us to say, you know what? If that's what it takes, no problem. I'll do that, or taking the next steps. So those doors that might have been closed, or the no's that you might have heard during your journey of developing Peace for Poverty, which I love, Peace for Poverty. Sure. I mean, we all grew up, and a lot of us grew up in poverty. Period. And sometimes I look at it now today to say, hey, God, it's not even the money that I'm after to make me rich. I experienced that in a bad way. But now just to have the peace part of it, that's what jumps out in your program. It's just peace for poverty, or, peace for people who may have been broken. And you're creating a platform for them to be successful. Sure. So I want to commend you. I knew it would be a great podcast. There was no doubt in my mind. Like you said, no script, just sitting down and having a conversation with each other. So I want to commend your program, and I want to say that, that God's blessings continue to be upon you, that he continue to enlarge your territory. You're already doing great things. It's hard to see what God has in store for you moving forward. So thank you for being on the show and being an overcomer. And also, I don't want you to forget about, of course, the Balling Out of Control. You can go on Amazon and Barnes & Noble. You can inbox me even on Facebook if you want to copy this amazing story. Of course, Josh made me pull out my brand today because he came with Probia's legacy. So the balling, of course, we did it. It's deceptive. A lot of people see the cover and they think, okay, this is talking about the streets or balling. And don't get me wrong, it is covering that. But if you really look at the true story and the way it's spelled, it's BAWLIN, balling. This person is crying out. They're trying to find themselves, and the pain that they may have went through to find themselves to become an overcomer. So, man, any last thoughts?
Man, I just want to say I want to commend you too, bro, because, you've done some amazing things already, starting where you started in your car business and now going crazy, helping so many people. I think it was in our cohort that was about 4 cohorts ago. You came and was like, yo, man, I would like to help give a car to somebody in the program. And I just was like, all right, bet, let's make it happen. And we made a person that came through our program, helped them get transportation. and it was dope, bro. So, of course, those who are seeing they don't necessarily know what's coming, but we definitely on our Oprah. I'm gonna tell you that right now. We definitely on that. But it's just a blessing, bro, for us to come together, leverage exactly what we've been doing, and being able to come together and add purpose to it. So I'm appreciative, bro. I'm so appreciative of this opportunity, and I think this is how it should go. I think as we continue to go up the ladders in our individual and respective fields, we still have to learn how to come back together and give back on a higher level that's higher than us. Right. So I think that's what we both doing, bro. So this podcast, I'm appreciative. This opportunity, this setup is crazy. You know what I mean? So I'm truly, truly appreciate it. A shout out to my man Day, who gave us this dope space to be able to shoot this in Charlotte, North Carolina. Super dope. Thank you to my team. I can't never forget my team. If it wasn't for my team, Peace for Poverty wouldn't be here. The volunteers, the effort, the mindset, those who are working on the credit and doing everything behind the scenes, the dirty work that a lot of people don't see. I just want to say thank you to my team, because if it wasn't for my team, Peace for Poverty would not definitely be as strong as it is. Super shout out to you, bro, for coming down and making it do what it do as you getting ready to go to the next level in what you do, man. So sincerely and honestly, bro, thank you. Because I always look forward to being able to have these type of conversations that actually mean something, and that's actually putting something good out there that people can build on and grow from. If you want to follow me, you can follow me on IG at JOSHPROBY, and the same thing on Facebook.
Again, thank you to our viewers.
Yeah,
this
sure.
is our second episode. We got some people lined up. Same story, same thing.
Yeah.
How did you overcome? Who was this person, and who has God made this person to be now? Yeah. That's what the whole story is about. It's about overcoming. And as we're doing this podcast to encourage you that no matter what your life looks like, no matter what you've been through, you can overcome. You can be an overcomer. So thank you for watching, the viewers, and we're looking forward to our next episode in The Overcomer.